Jesus taught in a very Easternly way, which is he used parables to convey important truths. Now, in the West, we sometimes think that parables are window dressing, a way to sort of snazz up an argument or maybe to obfuscate that it's not that good of an argument. We want the straight facts. We want the dry argument, and then you'll assess the truth. But can I suggest something? Parables have a way, not just of conveying truth in a way that's memorable, but also in a way that puts us in the middle of the argument and makes the facts relevant to our lives. You see, parables are stories, short stories, that we can relate to and we can immerse ourselves in. So while a good argument supported by facts can get us to what the truth actually is, a good parable tells us what our relationship to the truth actually is. Now, a parable that speaks to me and puts me in the middle of the whole thing is the parable of the banquet. If you know anything about me, you know that food is my love language. In fact, I would say food is a universal language. I know math and music are, but food tends to be a very universal language, and it gets us to think about community and all these things. And in a time right now where it's very difficult to have a full house, where the aromas are inviting everyone to come together and gather, I think that this parable might speak to us a little bit more loudly than it did before. So what is the parable? In Luke chapter 14, verses 12 and following, Jesus gives the parable of the great banquet. Now, this parable is all about a master of a home, and he wants to invite as many people as possible to come and share his bounty, to share in his feast. And so he has his servants go out and invite various people. But those people make up excuses. I can't come because I bought a piece of land, or I can't come because I just got married, or I have to do some other kind of thing that prevents them from going and seeing what the master has to offer at his party. Now the master is upset. So he sends his servants and he says, go out and invite anybody possible. Go out and invite the lame and the sick and the blind. I want them to come and see and taste and experience what I have to offer them. And his servants do that. But the house still has room. And so the master says something. He says to his servants, go out and compel people from the highways and the byways to come in to my house, that my house may be full. Now, I can already smell the spices. I can hear the conversations. I can hear the olive oil sizzling on the grill, as it were, in this whole story. But the point of the story is to talk about God's desire for all to come to know who he is. Now, this is important because oftentimes as Westerners, we think that the parable is window dressing. But no, it conveys something very important for all of us. You see, a very common objection to the Christian faith is that it is intolerantly exclusive. It's true, the Christian faith is exclusive in the sense that it says that Jesus is the only way to salvation. But it's not intolerantly exclusive, because notice what the parable conveys, that the master of the banquet, the master of the house, sends his servants out to invite as many people as possible to come and see his bounty. And there will be those who will reject, but there will be those who want to come in. But the phrase that's key for us is this: the master says, invite anybody possible, that my house may be full. You see, Christianity is not an exclusive religious system that tries to exclude people out of it unless you believe a certain thing or belong to a certain tribe. We need to hear this today in our ever-increasingly tribalistic culture. No, the Christian faith is a faith that says that God wants all to come into his home and experience so that his house can be full. Now, there is an exclusive means of salvation, and that is through Jesus Christ. But the invitation is inclusive. You look at John chapter 3, verse 16, the most famous verse in the Bible. And what does it say? For God so loved the world, that's everyone, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever shall believe, that's anyone, shall not perish but have everlasting life. It is an exclusive means of salvation, but it is an inclusive invitation so that God's house may be full. I'm invited. You're also invited. That should be welcome news in a time when our homes are not full. Our homes are missing that cacophony of noises, of laughters and revelry and smells and all these things that come with having wonderful banquets and wonderful times together. But Jesus says, despite our period of isolation, there's a time we won't have that isolation anymore because he wants his house to be full.